Hello, my name is Robert Sievers. Today we are here with Kevin Kleinman from TRDR.tv. How are you doing today, Kevin?
Hey, I'm doing good, Robert. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing very, very well. Let's go ahead and let's get started with the interview today. My first question is, when did you first become interested in the stock market? Because I saw in your bio that you got started younger than most people.
Yeah, it's a neat story. I was a kid watching the news and watching the sports before school every morning when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. And before the sports section every morning, there would be a finance section. And it was a guy, John Najarian, who's a CNBC guy, and he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
And so he was talking about stocks, and I was 11 years old, and he was talking about Petco. And I knew Petco because we had a lot of animals,
Okay.
and we were always shopping at Petco. So I just kind of turned to my mom and asked her, like, "Mom, what's this guy talking about, Petco?" And so that's when she explained, what a stock was and how you could
Okay.
actually own a part of the company and all that. So yeah, I was 11 years old when I legitimately got interested in it, and I remember she kind of set up an AOL Finance account for me, and I was kind of tracking Petco, and Enron was a big story then because it was about
Yeah, exactly.
2001. And so yeah, so that's when the interest started.
That's really interesting. It's definitely a lot younger than most people, and I mean, I can imagine that you probably kind of got your first little taste of it, and you were maybe hooked on the stock market by 11 years old. That's good. It gives you time to get prepared. Before you can legally trade.
Yeah, definitely.
What kind of stocks did you trade other than Petco when you were, or did you
Yeah,
paper trade?
so
Obviously.
right. So when I was those young ages between like 12 and 15, I just had the AOL Finance kind of watch list account.
Okay.
And I was big on Petco, I was big on Apple, and I was big on Akamai Technologies, which Akamai uh, was a leader in kind of providing internet routing services.
Okay.
And I had read about that. So just kind of some random stuff, I'd kind of read and whatnot. And then when I turned 18 and could actually open an account, first stocks I bought was Akamai and Apple and a couple banks, JP Morgan, stuff like that.
Okay.
But I started out more so investing. I really didn't get into trading until about 5 years ago or so, 5, 6 years ago.
Okay. No, I mean that's a good way. I mean, I think when you're 18 is definitely to kind of avoid the day trading scene. I mean, it's just a little bit too early. I think it's investing is an easy step into the whole process of
Sure.
trading. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit less aggressive, therefore a little bit less risky as well. But I
Right.
also I also read that time when you started, when you turned around 18, was about September, October of 2008. So it was
Yeah.
maybe not the best time. Of course, you couldn't have possibly known that, as an 18-year-old first getting into the stock market. But you want to tell us a little bit, kind of how you recovered
Yeah.
from that, or kind of what happened?
Yeah, sure. It was an interesting time to come up in for sure, and
Definitely.
ultimately what led me to trading because here I was 18, I had about 7,000 bucks. I was so excited to invest and, go to school. I was studying and obviously that didn't work too well because I put money to work literally probably August, September, October 2008, and everything just got cut in half. I remember
Yeah.
buying Apple at like 115, it got down to 80,
Oh,
and I bought JP Morgan at like 35, it got down to 20, and I just had no idea what was going on. I mean, I'm this 18-year-old
of
just,
course.
head in the sky kind of. So lost probably half my account, and after that, of course, I didn't want to invest anymore. I wanted to trade, right? Because who wants to invest when you're just losing money all the time? So that's kind of what led me into trading. But my account had got cut in half, and so ultimately I ended up stumbling across some penny stock websites and getting into penny stock trading because I figured, well, with 3,500 bucks, penny stocks were cheap. They were a good spot to start with and kind of build my account back up. Long story short, got lucky on a couple penny stocks without knowing anything about what I was doing, and then quickly wised up before I lost that money and realized, okay, now I need to go back to the big time, go back to Apple and J.P. Morgan and stuff like that. So That was probably 2008 to about 2010,
Okay.
2011 that that transition occurred.
Okay. Well, you're lucky that you wised up, because I know a lot of other people that, haven't done that exact same thing. They kind of did something similar to you, they got invested, got a little bit lucky on some penny stocks or some, biotechs or something like that, and then they always assume that it's going to keep going up. They assume that they made like this brilliant decision that nobody else could
Right.
see, and that they should obviously keep the money in here because it's doing so well for them. I mean, I know that I did the same thing when I first started. I don't know if I was exactly as successful as you were, but it's
Yeah,
along
no.
the same lines.
Yeah, I think it's natural to, if you find something and you have some success, whether it's because you got lucky or because you actually knew what you were doing, it's just our instinct to think, okay, well, this can continue and we can
Yeah,
keep going down that path. And, you know, some sectors, though, like penny stocks or biotech, you come to learn that there's actually a lot of execution involved, that if you don't know what's going on, you'll give back all that money
of
real
course.
quick.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just found the playing field to be more exciting in the big board stuff after gaining some actual trading experience.
Okay. All right. And then, yeah, I also read that you, after penny stocks, you started doing a little bit of options trading. I think it was mostly in like Apple stocks and like that. Can you tell us a little bit about why you got into options in the first place and kind of?
Yeah. So about 2011, 2012, people who were following the market might remember Apple was on top of the world, $700 stock on the way to $1,000 bucks. It was going to be the first $1 trillion market cap ever. And then it just started tanking. It went from, I think, 700, got as low as 384 or something like that over a period of like 8 months or so.
Okay.
And I had a buddy that was trading, a mentor of sorts, and he was shorting Apple around like 650, 660 or so, just as it had come off of that all-time high in
Okay.
September 2012. And he just kind of said, "Hey, watch this," and he pointed me to a put. And I didn't know what a put was, but I knew that it was going to go up in value if Apple went down.
Yeah.
That was really just kind of the bare bone knowledge that I had. And so, sure enough, I'm watching this put that he tells me to watch. Apple goes from like 660 to 605 in a week, and his put goes from like $3 to $55 or something. So that was all I needed to see.
Yeah.
I wanted in on that as soon as I saw that.
Of course.
And so got into options pretty much right then and there. Again, without knowing anything, all I knew is this guy made a killing on it. So, I kind of wanted that same exposure. And from probably about 2012 to 2013, mid mid 2013 up to about 2014, I would say I traded Apple exclusively.
Okay.
Literally, the only stock I traded was Apple, and traded options on it, and did pretty well, especially in 2012 and early 2013. Did
Wow.
quite well trading Apple options. But again, I was kind of touch and go, and more of a feel my way through things as opposed to actually disciplined learning.
Okay.
So end result, made about $50,000 trading Apple
Wow.
options, and lost those $50,000 in one trade.
Wow.
I think it might have even been like April 19th, 2013. That's how bad it was. I could tell you exactly when it was. Um, but yeah, the bottom line is the money I made trading Apple options was just pure luck, pure stupidity, and the stock was going down every day. So if you just bought puts, you did well,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I was doing, and I was doing it with a lot of size. I made the 50,000 because I was putting in 10, 15,000 every time. So I'd maybe make 1,500, 2,000 in a day using 100% of my account sometimes.
I,
So
I read a little bit about that it
you
was
know,
like
I,
in
I
between.
had no idea what was going on in terms of money management and trade execution and discipline and stuff like that. And so then once I lost all that money, that's kind of what sparked the next phase of things.
That's what got you more interested into getting that discipline and really making sure that you were going to keep that money as opposed to just making a
Yeah,
bunch and giving it up, making a bunch, giving it up. And
of course, of
yeah,
course.
I got you.
We all, I had a goal. I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 25. And so I think I kind of got consumed by that. And instead of looking at things and being like, you know what, I'm 22 at the time, but I'm doing pretty well for only being 22. And so I just think, classic story, motivated by the wrong reasons. And, it wasn't until I kind of wised up and sought pure motivation and the right reasons that things started to come together and I started to really enjoy things more. Everybody likes making money, but when you lose money and you don't really understand what's going on, there's nothing more frustrating.
Yeah. Of course, no, I completely understand. I mean, it seems to be like, I've interviewed a couple different traders, and a lot of them have, sometimes more standard educations, but it sounds to me like you actually have like a more of a pure education, kind of just like straight up learning from your own mistakes and from your own, basically your own experiences, what happened in the stock market, what you physically did, what you physically didn't do. But how did you start to develop this idea of how to make less risky trades? You must have read a book or found an internet site or something along those lines. And
well, there was one book that I would recommend. It's sitting right here, actually. I can give the guy a little plug. The Disciplined Trader by Mark Douglas.
Okay.
This is honestly the only book I've really paid much attention to over my years. And he talks about something in that book that was so profound to me, that if you're not having as much success as you want or you think you're capable of, then the simple explanation is that you're not good enough. And that's it. And when I read that, and once I accepted what he was saying, it really spoke to me because, every misstep or every failure or shortcoming, whatever you want to call it, can be summed up by the fact you're not good enough. You can spin it however you want to spin it, but you are not good enough if you're not accomplishing the things you think you should be accomplishing. So that was kind of an eye-opener for me that, hey, you know what? You're not good enough, and you need to figure out how to get good. So it started quite simply with saying, I'm only going to trade one contract at a time.
Okay.
When I was trading options, I mentioned that I was going in very heavy with my stuff and, trading my whole account in some instances, which, looking back is just so stupid. And so that was how it really started, accepting that, I'm not going to try and make money for a while. I'm going to try and trade one contract at a time and really learn how to actually trade, develop skills, learn how to identify risk and reward properly, learn how to cut out of a loss, learn how to kind of press into a winner. And, that acceptance of that mission has really kind of helped me develop that discipline because, of course, I want to make money, but it's not the main driving force right now. I kind of woke up and kind of dawned on me that, I'm still young. I'm 25. I've got my whole life to make money.
Yeah.
And what's great about the market, and what I tell my guys all the time, is this is a skill we can use for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
It's not like athletics where, your body's going to go against you at some point by the time you turn 35 or 40. Athletes make millions, but they have short careers.
Of course,
they really can only play 10 years. If you're a very lucky and very in shape athlete, maybe you play 15 years. If we can learn how to trade properly, I can trade until I'm 80 years old.
And that's a skill you can keep developing as the years go by and as the markets change. And
of course, so that's where the discipline has started to come from. I think is the acceptance of a longer term path, and not trying to rush, and just accepting that, hey, right now, today, as I speak to you, I'm not good enough. And I still have a lot of work to do. And just understanding that and, again, accepting that, I think, is the most important thing for anybody trying to develop their discipline. I talk to a lot of guys that sign up with me. They say, I've got $5,000, $10,000. Do you think that's enough? I say, of course that's enough. Then they say, well, I want to make $500 a week. And I say, okay, so you've got a $10,000 account and you want to make $500 a week, which is $2,000 a month. So you want to grow your account 20% a month, which means you want to make over 200% on the year. And now you're just not making sense in terms of what's realistic.
That's way too much.
And that's where I try and bring that conversation of, are you going to be good enough to do that? Because I remember being that exact same person with a $15,000 account, like, all right, I want to make $1,000 a week. And, I was doing it at times, but like I said, I wasn't doing it with discipline. So then it just takes that one trade to wipe yourself out.
Yeah.
And, in the long run, it's just not the right way to go about it.
No, I totally agree. And then so let's talk a little bit about your website, I guess, watchemtrade.com. So I was reading that it kind of initially began because you were, trying to improve your discipline and you were actually recording your trades a lot. And so then a couple of your buddies actually started to ask, if they could see some of your trades, and then it kind of formed or morphed into like a live trading room almost, which came up to be watchemtrade.com. So
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah,
tell
no,
us a little bit about that process and
yeah,
about
sure.
kind
That's
of about the
exactly,
website?
that's exactly right. So, watchhimtrade.com was born out of the fact that I wanted to get better at trading. And I've got a couple friends that play professional sports, and at the professional sport level, you really don't practice much during the season with your team. You
Okay.
practice in the off season as an individual, but one of the things when you talk to these guys is they watch film. That's that's the majority of the time, because if you're a professional athlete, and specifically talking basketball, that's where I have some friends at that
Okay.
I know for a fact what they're doing with their weekly regimen. When you're playing basketball, you got 3 games a week. Your coaches then aren't telling you, all right, let's go have a full-on practice, because they want you to rest. So what you end up doing instead is you end up watching a ton of film, studying your opponent,
Oh, okay.
studying your matchup, stuff like that. And so I kind of took that and applied it to my trading. Said, okay, well, I should start recording my trading and studying that, as opposed to spending countless hours looking at charts and preparing and looking at implied volatility and all this stuff. It kind of dawned on me, hey, one of the better ways to improve might just be to study what you're doing, what your actual execution looks like. So, yes, started recording my stuff and watching it. Had a couple buddies that wanted to get into trading and asked me for the archives of everything I had recorded, and just kind of dawned on me that, hey, why don't I see if other people on the internet want to watch? And so that's kind of what led to Watch Him Trade, and turned it into a subscription based service where every single day I'm sharing my screen, I'm sharing my audio feed, and members get to watch everything I do with my money. That was one of the other main motivations for it. Is you've got a lot of websites out there. We all know
Yeah.
how many choices you have when it comes to financial services and trading education. But one of the things is you never know what these people are actually doing with their money. Like, they might tell you, oh, go buy Netflix with the stop loss at $95 and target 100. And I'm sitting here wondering, well, are you buying Netflix, or are you just telling me to buy Netflix?
Yeah.
And that's something that really pisses me off about the industry, is everybody's making money off subscribers without sharing with their subscribers what they're actually doing for themselves. So the two main motivations were self-improvement, wanting to watch my own footage myself. But number two, full-on transparency. No matter if I'm doing good or bad, I will show you everything I'm doing so you can learn from it yourself, and learn from the success, learn from the mistakes. And most of all, never question if I'm doing what I say I'm doing, because you get to see it right there on the screen.
That's one of the things that I was going to say actually next, was that I liked a lot about your site, was that it really, when you went, for example, into your returns, like you can actually see like every single day, they has almost like the every week almost, it has like the different trades that you have, the different returns, and it looks like you have, like you said, like really a lot of transparency. And one of the things that I keep hearing from users or viewers that I keep talking to, is that they want to see somebody, they want to watch somebody just from like straight up over their shoulder, like
Right.
they don't want to see somebody saying like, oh yeah, buy here, sell there, yada yada yada. They want to actually see what you are doing, to be able to see if you're actually completing, if you're actually buying at those prices and selling at those other prices, or if you're doing other things, if you're scaling in, if you're scaling out, yada yada yada. So
Sure.
I highly respect that, and I think that's one of the ways that the stock market education field is going to go in the future. It's just straight up, just live watching over somebody's shoulder, so that you can actually see what they're doing and kind of get an idea of their mental processes and their discipline and how they're actually trading. So that's one of the things that I really liked about your website, and I wanted to commend you for that. So
Yeah, no, yeah, thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
no
very
worries,
much.
of
And
course.
I do think that's the way the education realm will go, because Eventually, you'll get people like me. I know there's some other guys out there doing a good job with it.
Yeah.
And then you get people that aren't doing it. And, consumers make markets, and the consumers, I think, will ultimately decide to go with people who are being more transparent. Consumers want two things, not necessarily both. They want either transparency or they want results. Now, if they can get both of those things together, then that's a home run.
Yeah.
Usually you can only get one or the other. So that's kind of the battle that consumers have. They can go with a site where, you don't know what the person's doing, but they might be giving good ideas. So, you get the result side of it. Or you can go with somebody that, maybe the results aren't amazing, but you know that it's full on transparency, all honest, easy communication, great customer service, stuff like that. And what I'm trying to do is obviously bring both of those together, full transparency and solid results. And I think the more people that do that, the more we'll start to get away from those scam services out there that are just, selling you a house on Mars, so to say.
I totally agree. Some of like the pumping and dumping stuff, whatever that's happening, or just some of those things. I 100% agree with you that that's kind of where I think things are heading. And that's kind of actually what we're trying to head for with Trader.tv as well, is kind of creating a platform so that people can create almost their own show based upon their actual live trades. What they're actually doing with with a camera almost over their shoulder, just showing exactly what's happening.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're going for. So I really respect and I appreciate that you're kind of doing the same.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I wanted to ask is just kind of if you could explain a couple of the features that are offered on WatchmanTrade.com. Like, I know that you guys have the live trade room and some archives and stuff, but can you give us a little bit more of an explanation?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the two main features is obviously the live trading that you have access to every day as a subscriber. And then number two, what I think is probably the most valuable thing is I do a lot of one-on-one Skype sessions. So just like you and I are on Skype right now, I'll jump on with a subscriber and I'll share my screen, he'll share his screen or her, and we'll look at charts. They'll show me trades that they made. Maybe they went wrong on a certain trade and they want me to kind of look at it with them and kind of see what they could have done better. So, just a lot of one-on-one mentoring and training, if you will. I've even met with some subscribers in person if they live here in Chicago. And, I think that's the main value add to it. It's not an additional cost. It comes included with your membership.
Wow, okay.
90 minutes of one-on-one time each month over Skype. I do have a number of educational videos and different archives and blog posts and stuff like that. But honestly, I think the most value is in the one-on-one and the live trading.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Encouraging members to watch back the live trading footage because, live trading, you take a day like today, it's kind of slow just looking at things. And a day like today when I'd normally, still be trading at this time or still be watching, we talk about the discipline aspect of not forcing trades on a day like today and how to identify when a slow day is maybe turning into a fast day, or how to identify if a slow day is going to continue to be a slow day. So it kind of saves you time, saves you some money, saves you trades. So, live trading in reality, I might only make 3 or 4 trades in the morning over a 2.5 hour period, which means there's 60 to 90 minutes worth of downtime where we're just kind of evaluating and talking shop and talking education. I don't really believe in the whole education model of, oh, here's a workshop or here's this, here's that, go review it. Because what I've found with my customers is that people's needs are so different that you can't just have a template. You can't have one educational template and try and tell everybody, oh, go review that educational template. Some sites do a great job with it and they should be commended for it. But what I'd rather do is work with my customers one-on-one and say, okay, what do you need and what do you want to learn? And then we'll go over that during our one-on-one sessions. There's no reason for me to spend weeks putting together certain educational material that maybe only 10 of 50 people will watch or will actually use.
No, so I totally understand. That sounds like a I mean, a great way to teach people is obviously to personalize it for their own educational needs. And not everybody trades the same way, even, a lot of
Exactly.
people have different kinds of personalities that tend to, that lead them towards options or regular investing or, whatever,
Right.
long
And
term,
I would
short
just
term.
like
And
to say also, as a part of that, one of the myths I think associated with my site is that I only trade options. Now I'm trading stocks too.
okay.
I'm doing different option strategies, but also I'm just talking trading. I'm talking stock market stuff. I'm talking futures. I'm talking all types of stuff. I would like to think, of course, I'm biased, but I'd like to think that, regardless of what you want to trade, there's a lot you can learn. And again, that's why I don't necessarily just have a ton of options education or a ton of stock education, because everybody's so different. Everybody has so many different desires and wants and needs for the things they want to learn that it's just easier that when I get a new sign up to jump on the phone with them for 15 minutes and then kind of personalize things, as you said, and go from there.
It's a great way. I mean, the education system or the education process, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and so I think this is one of the best ways to go about it. One of my last questions for you though was actually kind of relating to actually kind of the kind of financial assets that you trade, but it's how long is an average trade for you?
Yeah, of course, each trade is different.
Yeah.
You know, on it kind of varies by day. So
Okay.
on a Monday and Tuesday, the trades tend to last a little bit longer, and the reason for that is the securities that I'm trading, especially if I'm trading options, there is a lot of premium built into them at the beginning of the week. So earlier in the week, I'll be more of a seller on options.
Okay.
And what you tend to need to do to generate the returns early in the week from selling options is you need to hold on to them a bit longer because premium decays over time. So on a Monday, for instance, I might short a put or short a call, and I might have to hold that until Wednesday to really realize the return.
Okay.
Or on a slow day like today, I shorted Citigroup and the stock went down 40 cents, which is a modest drop, but it took about 70 minutes for that drop to happen, or 60 minutes or so,
Okay.
which later in the week or on a given day, Citigroup might be able to drop 40 cents in 10 minutes.
Yeah, of
So
course.
it just really depends. I mean, I go into things with targets and setups and entry and exit criteria, and sometimes it just so happens that it takes a short amount of time for that criteria to get hit. Sometimes it takes a long amount of time for that criteria to get hit. Now, I would say ideally, if I had it my way, which I don't because I got to play by the market's rules, ideally my average trade lasts 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
In reality, probably a bit longer than that.
Okay. So that's kind of you're still aiming for some of like the scalping trades for on
Yeah, well,
on more of like the securities, or I mean on more of like the
sure.
on regular stocks, whereas the options are probably, of course, a little bit longer term.
Right. And again, it depends on the day. Monday and Tuesday, my trades are always going to last longer because of the premium
Yeah.
associated with options.
Okay.
But once you get around to Wednesday, Thursday, you don't have nearly as much premium in an option. So you get a $4 move from Amazon on a Thursday.
Yeah.
You're going to have an option. Say Amazon moves 4 points in 20 minutes, which is perfectly reasonable for Amazon.
Yeah.
You're going to have an option on a Thursday moving 50%
Okay.
over that move because of the way options are priced. Now, Amazon could move $4 today in 20 minutes. That option might only move 15 or 20%
Okay.
because of the premium built into it. So, I could make I could trade the exact same move Thursday that I traded today, and the return would be much better on a Thursday because of the fact that there's much less premium
Okay.
involved. So that's why, like I said, the day of the week is so important
I
in
understand.
determining how long the average trade is. So in short, what I could say is that early in the week, the average trade is much longer. Later in the week, the average trade is typically much shorter.
Understood. All right. And then my last question would be just if you could give us like a general idea what kind of returns you guys, what kind of returns you got last year, just percentage wise.
I made 30% last year. My
All
account came
right.
into the year at about 26,000, and it ended the year at about 33,000. So I think that's about 30%. I'd have to bust out the
It's
calculator
close enough.
exactly to check it out. Um, but my goal is to grow my account 15% per year,
Okay.
compounded. If I do that, my account's at 34,000 right now. If I do that 15% per year compounded over 20 years, I'll have $750,000 in this account 20 years from now. And that's not assuming, that I don't make any money off of business or don't add any money to the account or I don't make anything off of investments, for the long term.
Yeah.
I'm just talking strictly trading.
Oh, I got you. And I mean, it sounds like you got a good little plan. You maybe won't hit 1 million by 25. I mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, we
it's
put
okay.
that. You gotta do what you gotta do. But
No, you
yeah,
gotta.
the one piece of advice that I'd give to people
Okay.
that are watching this, especially newer guys, is we all get into the market for the same reason. We all want to make money.
Yeah.
I haven't met one person that wasn't the first reason as a new that they came into the market. What you tend to learn though is there's a lot that this job can teach you about yourself. There's a lot it can teach you about life. And you got to have a plan, and that plan needs to be realistic. If you're coming in with $5,000 and you don't have any experience and you make $50, well, you just made 10% on your account. And you've got multimillionaires that are dying to make 10% a year. And, I try and encourage people to think like a millionaire. Just because you have 5,000 doesn't mean you need to double up right away. You need to focus on process more than immediate term results.
I totally agree. I definitely agree, and I appreciate that you shared that with us kind of at the end, because I think that's important to share with a lot of the people that are kind of first getting into the beginning parts of trading, and it's important to learn. So anyway. That's all the time that we have for today, so I really appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you for joining us today. That was Kevin Kleinman of WatchHimTrade.com. Thanks, Kevin. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. I highly recommend that you check out WatchHimTrade.com so that you can see Kevin do some live trades over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. Thank you very much for joining us today for the interview. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, and good luck with your trades.